Yeah, I thought it was too different from the album version. I didn't like it. I joke.
Yeah,
Um,
well, your extensive Guster background knowledge would support that opinion. I can only respect it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name's Andy. She made me do something that I never did before. I rushed right down to a flower store. I bought her a bundle, a beautiful batch. But don't you know something? She sent them right back. All right, more on that another time. But first, we have a track to listen to, which Andy has taken from his list, shuffled off to the front, and shoved into our faces to listen. What is it you got?
I'm gonna be shoveling into your face a band called yeah, you like the it sounds great when you word it like that, doesn't it? I'm actually giving you now on second thought, maybe just hand it to me. The band is called Guster, and
Okay.
the track by Guster is called Satellite. Have you ever heard of this band Guster before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. Not a huge surprise there. Cool. This is a live performance as well. I should mention that. And it is from the Tarrytown Music Hall in New York, and it was from 2012, and it features the Guster string players. But anyway, all that sort of background information ironed out and out of the way. Go off, give this live performance a view and a listen. Come back and let me know what you think, man. How you experienced it.
Sure, we'll do.
Shining like a word of art, hanging on a wall of stars. Are you what I think you are? You're my satellite.
Yeah, this is a nice start. I wondered if the guy in the middle was perhaps visually impaired, the way he had like 1,000 yard stare as he was going, but he isn't. Um, yeah, favorite sounds is acoustic guitar being strummed well, and it is here, and the two vocals work really well. It's got a bit of that sort of old-fashioned feel to it, which is nice. It's a little bit folksy and a little bit rocky. It's got a nice rolling rhythm to it. I like the fiddle. Hopefully there'll be a bit more of that. Yeah, all good, all good. It's great.
You're riding with me tonight, passenger side, light in the sky, always the first star that I find. You're my satellite. Elevator to the moon, whistling a favorite.
So just to say, I'm really enjoying the bass as well. It's just complementing it really, really well. And his harmonies there were really nice as well. Added a bit more to it. This is it's making me feel a bit nostalgic. I don't know because it feels old school. But yeah, it's quite simple, but it's really enjoyable. Just sounds pure.
Trying to get a closer view. You're my satellite. You're riding with me tonight. Passenger side, light in the sky. Always the first one that I find. You're my satellite. Maybe you'll always be just a little out of reach.
Oh, cello! At last.
You're my satellite. You're riding with me tonight. Passenger side, light in the sky. Always the first one that I find. You're my satellite. You're my satellite.
I like the way they dropped down there and you just hear the bass and the drums and they were singing and then they go back into the sort of groove of the strumming with some picking as well. It all blended really nice and they just got into that role and they could have kept doing that over and over for another 5 minutes quite easily. I really like the pizzicato from the fiddle player and finally we've got the cello coming in as well. Sounded great. Yeah, and also that flourish she did at the end of one of her bits. There was a bit of the old devil goes down to Georgia. Something's going on there. That was fun. Yeah, this is just really sounds like damn faint praise, but this is just really nice. I enjoyed this. I mean, it was a fairly simple song, but it just sounded really good. Yeah, yeah, I'd listen to this again and watch it again. Just really enjoyable. Great performance as well. The guys were all grinning away to each other, so they were clearly enjoying it, which makes people watching it enjoy it just as much, I guess. Well, I had a thought that the sort of the phrasing of the fiddle player was similar to, in a way, it was similar to that Joy by King of the Slums, which I gave Andy, but a very different setting. But it was kind of doing the same thing, but in that it was this sort of rough indie post-punk sort of um, the interesting stuff to it, and of course it had a bit of distortion to it and all that. But it's similar method what they were doing, this phrasing. But this was really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I better find out a bit more about Guster by going back and speaking with Andy.
All right. Welcome back. You've given Satellite a listen. You've given this performance a watch. What did you make of this tune, man?
Yeah, I thought it was too different from the album version. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Um,
well, your extensive Guster background knowledge would support that opinion. I can only respect it.
So we start with a healthy strumming of the acoustic guitar and some cheers from the audience. So this is obviously a fan favorite, or they're just completely out of their boxes on booze and meth, and they're cheering anything at this point. I think it's the former rather than the latter. The guitarist at the start has that like 1,000-yard stare,
Yeah.
while the guy next to him is just grinning at him. And I'm wondering for a moment if the guy is actually visually impaired. But no, he's just really into it, which is fair enough. But it was going to make some pithy joke about, well, I thought, no, better not. Mock the disabled. Anyway, so we hear and then see a fiddle and a or violin or whatever you want to call it, and a cello, which is yet to be introduced. And then the drums and bass kick in, and we're into the full song. The middle bloke, I will call WHU or Who, because of the lettering on his shirt.
Yeah.
He's singing, and then he's joined by grey shirt next to him on his right. And it's a really pleasant sound. It's tried and tested, but two voices, singing together. It's not exactly Phil and Don, but it's really good. Yeah. And has that old school feel. In fact, the whole song does. I mean, the rhythm's sort of rolling along, and then denim jacketed bass player add some harmonies as well, which again to me adds to that sort of 70s feel.
Yeah.
It's updated folksy rock as well, I'm thinking, because I don't think if you saw this, I mean, visuals aside, you wouldn't think this is from the 1970s, because there's bits about it which are clearly dated in the last 10-15 years, I guess, but it comes off that place. So Madam Fiddle comes back in with her little motive, her little sort of passage, and I'm reminded of the violin on or fiddle or whatever you want to call it, on a song which I gave you, which was Joy by King of Slums. Same thing, but very different setting and sound.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a post-punk thing, and there's this scratchy, aggressive fiddle, but it was a similar sort of motif, that sort of go. But again, it had a different effect as well. But it's weird how you can have two things that are pretty similar, and then different settings.
Yeah, could totally change the whole thing.
Just interesting. It's a really nice, sort of counterplay to the guys, the three guys, and the drummer behind them. They're doing their thing. You get this sort of accent on the end of lines and stuff. It's really nice. So the whole thing is very gentle and pretty. Still bouncing along. I just think it's just really, like damning with faint praise, but it's just really nice, And it also, for no apparent reason, sort of triggers nostalgia in me because of where this comes from. I get feelings of long, hot summer holidays in the 70s, where it seemed to go on forever, and Red Devil ice lollies, and oil crises and stuff like that. And seemingly rockets being launched every other week into space on the telly, and Elvis dying. That's all sort of in my head. So the next chorus, I noticed that I'm sure it was there before, but it didn't really register. I did notice it, but it didn't really register. Is the I think it's the grey shirt guy is picking the guitar to work with the strumming.
Yes.
And one of my favorite sounds is a really well strummed acoustic guitar. Nick Drake, etc. But so this is ticking all the boxes, and those two together, again, it's a simple thing, but it just works well.
Sure does.
The next fiddle part, at the end of it, she throws in a touch of the old Devil Went Down to Georgia Sonic. So
Yeah.
Really like that. And then it drops down to just the bass and the drums to again highlight the vocals and them singing in harmony, which is lovely. And then you get more guitar goodness, and a bit of picking as well, and the pizzicato notes from the fiddle. And finally, because you've been hugging that thing for like I don't know how many minutes, the cello joins in, which I'm pleased for her, because I was wondering if it was a spectator sport for her, this song. But no, she comes in as well. Sounds great, really does. And they get into a groove at this point, and they just ride out "You're My Satellite" sort of couple of minutes, pretty much to the end. It's really quite a simple song, but it sounds really pure and it's very satisfying. And they're all smiling away as well, clearly enjoying themselves. They're obviously not in the first flush of youth either, so I guess they've been doing this for a while. So yeah, I'd say, I mean, it's just really simple, but I found it to be a really lovely, charming song. Great performance as well, and it just ticked the boxes. It was good, really good.
Yeah. I'm really glad you liked it. I know that we've talked about electric piano as one of your things. And I knew that how much you adore a good, clean acoustic strumming.
Yeah.
And just like you, I think that the dynamics of the two acoustics working together, one is kind of like plucking its way through, and the other strumming its way through, and the way that the synergy there and how they sound together
Sounds
really
great.
stood out to me. Yeah, it sounds fabulous, right? And you're right. Like every once in a while, maybe more often than not, sometimes I do throw the kind of these like throwback kind of like Hallmark 70s folksy kind of songs your way. And I grew up in a household where, some of the stuff that we listened to is like Dylan, and then Joan Baez and Paul Simon and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young. And so that kind of part of what reared me musically will peek through when I gravitate to modern songs like this that kind of take from that stuff. And this is, I think, one of those tracks.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get group male voices together, two or more. My thoughts is quite limited, really. It's either some great R&B Motown band, which is clearly isn't.
Yeah.
And they're dancing in their line, and they're all suited and booted. Or, I mean, the standard for me is obviously Simon and Garfunkel, but they're kind of a bit, because the voices are a bit different to everyone else. But your classic is Everly Brothers, Phil and Don. It's like the pinnacle. But for a group and not a million miles away from this music, someone like the Eagles, they're great harmonies as well, whether you like their music or not. But they sold shitloads, so a lot of people do. I don't mind the really early stuff of the Eagles, actually, and it has that country tinge as well, which is again really nice. So it's a tried and tested formula, but you don't really hear it very much anymore for like multiple male voices, which is a shame,
Yeah, I'm also taken to like the Traveling Wilburys is another like great super group of guys doing that all together too, So
yes,
yeah,
I guess they had to because of the egos as well. You wouldn't just let one singer. There's no way Bob Dylan's going to keep his mouth shut as well.
Exactly. Oh my. So yeah, I'm really glad you liked it. The performance I thought was fun and kind of gave you a glimpse into these guys as characters, even though, as you noted, this is further along in their careers as a band. But yeah, I should also want to mention this to get it out of the way and give them their flowers. April Guthrie and Charlene Huang, cello and violin respectively on this track. This live performance. They do a great job, particularly, as you noted, the violin sounds lovely in this. Let's jump into the band. They are an American alternative rock band formed in Somerville, Massachusetts. Founding members Adam Gardner, Ryan Miller, and Brian Rosenworcel began practice sessions while attending Tufts University and formed the band in 1991. The members met during the Freshman Wilderness Orientation Program in the August of that year, playing publicly together as a trio 2 months later at the infamous and much heralded Midnight Cafe Coffee House set in the common area of Lewis Hall Dormitory. I was being facetious there. This is just some dorm performance that they had, but that's where they started, 1991. The band recorded its first album independently in 1994, and it was titled Parachute. Their album established the band as a favorite of the same 90s scene that became popular through bands such as Dave Matthews Band, the Disco Biscuits, Mo, Fish, Widespread Panic, some of those jammy type bands that we just got done talking about in our last video. In 1996, Guster independently recorded their second album, Goldfly, releasing it early in the next year. And in 1998, the band signed with Sire Records and re-released Goldfly. A year later, the band released the album Lost and Gone Forever, produced by Steve Lillywhite, very famous name in the music production world.
Yeah.
With the backing of the major backing of the major label, the band appeared on shows such as The Late Show with David Letterman and released their first music video for their song Fa Fa. The band also appeared at Woodstock 99 and performed at the 99 Stardust Picnic Festival in historic Fort York, Toronto. Guster released their fourth album, Keep It Together, in 2003, and the first single, Amsterdam, getting significant airplay on the radio. Following the release of Keep It Together, multi-instrumentalist Joe Pisapia, who had been touring with the band, became a full-time member. Guster released its fifth full-length studio album, Ganging Up on the Sun, on which the song Satellite features, in June of 2006. And on September 27, 2006, Guster won Album of the Year at the Boston Music Awards. In 2010, Luke Reynolds would replace Joe Pisapia. The band would go on to release 4 more albums. Their most recent was released just this year in 2024. Guster is often recognized for its choice of instruments during their earlier years, 2 members playing acoustic guitars and 1 member playing various percussion instruments. Brian Rosenworcel, the band's percussionist, affectionately dubbed the Thunder God by their fans, added to Guster's unique sound with a combination of bongos, cymbals, and other drums, playing live shows using only his bare hands. While Miller played rhythm parts, Gardner would often play a bass line on his guitar. Guster's sound is recognized for its vocal harmonies, with both Miller and Gardner singing lead vocals on different songs. In songs such as What You Wish For and Happier, the 2 members sing different lyrics simultaneously. Guster's live shows have a style of their own. For encores, the band has sometimes featured drummer Brian Rosenworcel moving from to the front microphone and singing humorous covers. These have ranged from Temple of the Dog's Hunger Strike to Four Non-Blondes' What's Up to the theme song from the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Other examples include Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers, Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Raitt, In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, and Firework by Katy Perry. Other traditions at live shows have been developed over the years. For example, at the end of Airport Song, people in the crowd throw ping pong balls at the stage in reference to the studio recording where the audio of a table tennis game can be heard in the background. So this is kind of this like fans' allusion to this funny little bit that made it into the album. So back to this album, Ganging Up on the Sun was released June 20th, 2006. The first single, One Man Wrecking Machine, was released late in 2005 as sort of a precursor to the album's release. And its follow-up, Satellite, was released. This song was released in March of 2006. It is Guster's second studio album with Joe Pisapia, the first as a full-time member. The title comes from the line in the song Manifest Destiny, the moon and the stars are ganging up on the sun. The album is Guster's most recent, the album is Guster's most successful release to date, entering the Billboard 200 chart at number 25. And I believe it is the only single of theirs to be certified gold by the RIAA or whatever it is. The Metacritic rates the album a 76, while Allmusic and New York Times scored the album a 4 out of 5 star rating. Jeremy Levine of Albumism wrote of the album in his review, "It's a mess in the best possible way. Ganging Up on the Sun is the hardest Guster album to summarize, except in the sense that it is the most dynamic and unpredictable. It's the Guster album that offers the most fully formed journey. What it lacks in cohesion, it gains in geography." So let's go over these lyrics. Shining like a work of art, hanging on a wall of stars. Are you what I think you are? You're my satellite. You're riding with me tonight, passenger side, lighting the sky. Always the first star that I find. You're my satellite. Elevator to the moon, whistling our favorite tune, trying to get a closer view. You're my satellite. You're riding with me tonight, passenger side, lighting the sky. Always the first star that I find. You're my satellite. Instrumental break. Maybe you will always be just a little out of reach. Another instrumental break. And then the chorus, you're my satellite. You're riding with me tonight. Passenger side, lighting the sky. Always the first star that I find. You're my satellite. You're my satellite. And Josh Hathaway wrote a piece for Blog Critics about this track specifically and would say, satellite sounds simple and pleasant upon first listen. Repeated listens reveal an abundance of beautiful sonic subtleties. Ryan Miller's wistful vocal is the perfect instrument for delivering this plaintive melody. The lyrics are slightly opaque, but the vocal provides enough color to make the metaphor decodable. That the words work so well is amazing because it took 3 members of the band to finish them. Miller, drummer Brian Rosenworcel, and multi-instrumentalist Joe Pisapia. Miller's understated vocal is bathed in some wonderful playing by the band. The instrumental breaks at approximately the 3-minute mark in a moment of sonic beauty. The understated chiming electric guitar melody is enhanced with some wonderful use of keyboards and piano. And one keyboard part mimics a string section, which you actually get in real time here. Another sounds very much like an electric piano, a personal favorite instrument of mine, says the writer and John. While a piano melody floats in between them. Understanding there can be too much of a good thing, the band segues from this back to the chorus and then rides out with some more marvelous playing. Working that much into 4.5 minutes without rushing things or sounding forced is the epitome of efficiency and craftsmanship. So yeah, a lovely song. Always makes me smile when I hear it. And I didn't live in the 70s, but for some reason I get a nostalgic feel when I listen to this song, or really any other song that kind of taps into this sort of, as you would say, like this throwback sound that connotes decades before its release. So big fan. Thank you for giving it a listen, John. I appreciate your time, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you think of this Massachusetts-based band, Guster, and this track, Satellite, if you're familiar with them. And if you have any other suggestions by them that we should check out, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Just let us know what you think in general. We love interacting with you guys. We love seeing you all interact together. Also, while we have your attention, and if you haven't done any of these things yet, please do, or at least give it a thought. Like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate you guys tuning in each and every episode or whenever you can. We also love welcoming new members to the Audiophiles on board, so please join us. The water is fine. All that out of the way, hopefully John and I will see all y'all in growing numbers on the next episode of the Audiophiles. See you later, guys.